Welcome to the Dream Show. I'm Jane Teresa Anderson, and this is episode 258. And I've called this episode Magical to Practical, Working with Dreams, because we're working towards, in this episode, going over the different ways in which you might work with dreams as a professional dream worker. But we're going to get there by exploring some ideas around magical, the feelings of how magical it can feel doing a dream interpretation, approaches which might seem magical, and approaches which of course are extremely practical. So it's a little bit of a journey, and as usual, every now and then we do some episodes where we don't feature a guest on the show, because I know that some of you say, while you really enjoy having a guest on the show, you also like to have these kind of catch-up episodes where I basically give you a lot of dream interpretation tips and some ideas and some inspiration to work with your own dreams. So this is one of those episodes. Just before we go there, and the way that I've dealt with this episode, as I do with the similar episodes when we don't have a guest, is to actually pick blogs that I've written, sometimes recently, sometimes from way long ago, and read them out to you. So for each one of these, if you particularly enjoy them, I'll give the references for where they are on my website, so you can go and reread them at your leisure. Before we start, just a mention of my websites again there. So my main website is janeteresa.com. That's Teresa without an H. You can go there to listen to every episode of the Dream Show that's ever been. So that's now 258 and counting. Of course, you can also get the last 10 or so episodes on all the usual podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, basically anywhere you listen to your podcasts. And if you want to subscribe to any of those, the quickest way is to search for The Dream Show with Jane Teresa Anderson, and it will come up straight away. Also at janeteresa.com, you can read lots and lots of blogs, like hundreds of blogs that I've written on dreams and dreaming since 2009. You can also, if you like my writing, find out about my books from that website. And of course, you can also find out how to consult me privately if that's what you would prefer to do. If you'd like to do the online courses, which you do in your own time, at your own pace, which is really helpful for when we all live in such different time zones in the world, given where I live down at the bottom of the world, at the bottom of Australia and Tasmania, particularly for the Northern Hemisphere for many of you, online learning is an enticing way to go. To find out about the courses, go to the Dream Academy, and the address for that is dream-academy-online.com. But now let's get on with magical to practical, working with your dreams. Magic Eye. I wrote this blog, Magic Eye, for janeteresa.com in May 2022. So that's where to go if you want to read this one again later. Magic Eye. In a recent dream, in a fairy tale setting, I knelt at a fireplace in an open courtyard, gently tending to the clay tablets etched with exquisite symbols that I was baking in the flames. At least, that's how the scene would have looked to some of the people watching. Other onlookers in my dream were astonished by the magic I was performing, reaching into the fire with my bare hands, extracting beautiful works of art born of flame and magical spells. In my eyes, in my dream, I was doing my work, inscribing my first draft into wet clay before passing it through the alchemical fires of the deeper work to produce the final, polished piece. The dream metaphor could apply to writing, a book, a blog, an article. But on waking, I knew that it was on one level about writing dream interpretations for people who choose a written interpretation over a Zoom consultation. There's an art and a science to interpreting dreams, a way of looking at them that can seem quite magical until you learn how to do it yourself. My dream shows that there is a part of me that sees the process as straightforward and methodical, represented by the people in the dream who simply saw me baking the clay tablets in the flames. And there's another part of me that is constantly astonished by the seemingly magical way in which a dream interpretation falls into place when you reach into the work with your bare hands, trusting the alchemy of the process. At a deeper level still, my dream is not only about my work in the world, but also about the alchemical process of my own personal and spiritual inquiry. When I interpret dreams, I draw the dreamer's attention to the various concurrent levels of their dream's meaning, how it relates to their outer world, as well as how it relates deeply within their inner world. In this way, interpreting a dream involves focusing on different levels, looking into the dream rather than at the dream. Do you remember the Magic Eye books that were popular in the early 1990s? Depending on how you looked at the images in these picture books, you saw either two-dimensional patterns or three-dimensional pop-up amazing scenes. Now, I'll just pause here to say that I've given an example of that in the original blog. So if you want to see one of these, go to janeteresa.com, go to the blog roll and go to this blog, which was in May 2022, and you'll see an example of a magic eye. These images are auto-stereograms, sometimes used by optometrists to test eyesight. If you have binocular vision or stereo vision impairment, you might not be able to see the 3D image seemingly hidden in the first glance pattern. But before you self-diagnose or rush off to book an optometry appointment, have another look at the image on the blog version of this article. Instead of focusing on the surface of the picture, soften your eyes as if you are looking beyond the image. Think of the image as a curtain or veil and look through it to see what's at some distance behind it. And if this doesn't work for you, let your eyes go a bit crossed as well. And once you've got the knack, Google Magic Eye for a feast of fun examples. I was inspired to write this blog by a recent client's response to my written interpretation of her dream. She wrote back, "I just realised the movie was in 3D and the damn glasses were forgotten on the top of my head." A dream makes sense when you discover how to look at it. I played with her metaphor, which is totally apt, and spun it into the Magic Eye version because I thought you'd have fun with it. If you've not yet learned the art and science of how to look into your dreams to see the meaningful pictures within, you might want to do one of my online courses or ask me to do the looking for you. Now, in that blog article, you may have noticed that I mentioned parts of me. I'll just go back to it. I mentioned at one point in the blog, there's a part of me that sees the process as straightforward and methodical. And then I said, there's another part of me that is constantly astonished by the seemingly magical way in which a dream interpretation falls into place, etc. So referencing those parts of me in a dream made me think that, or made me decide to bring you this blog, which I called A Story of Parts, which I wrote for my Dream Academy blog roll in June 2022. Because I've got two blogs going. I've got the blog going at janeteresa.com and I've got a blog roll going at the Dream Academy. So if you like this one, A Story of Parts, and you want to read it afterwards, go to the Dream Academy, dream-academy-online.com, and look for the blog at June 2022 to read this one. A Story of Parts. Part of me wants to stay, part of me wants to go. I'm stuck. How can I resolve this predicament? It's in our everyday language. There's a part of me that doubts my ability. I'm equal parts creative and intellectual. The scientific part of me wants more proof. The intuitive part of me feels this is the right path to take. I'm partly extrovert, partly introvert. It depends on the situation. Sometimes it's enough to have a sense of wonder and compassion for the diversity of the various parts that make up our whole, to be softer with ourselves for our indecision, grateful for the nuanced perspectives our differing parts offer. At other times it can be helpful to get to know these parts more deeply, to see where they're coming from and why, and to explore grounds for productive negotiation between seemingly opposing parts. And then there are a multitude of parts that exert their influence from the depths of your unconscious mind, parts that you have shut out of your conscious awareness, but that linger powerfully below the surface, wriggling and writhing, impatient to find expression. An example might be repressing your anger to the extent that you no longer consciously feel it, but you suffer the chronic stress or ill health that repression of emotions can cause. Getting to know these powerful parts can be a lifesaver, literally, opening the way to a less stressful and healthier future. You can get to know your parts, conscious and unconscious, through your dreams. They may appear as dream characters, a scientific type, perhaps representing your scientific part, and an angry individual, perhaps representing an angry part of yourself. But look beyond the people in your dreams. Many of the other symbols in your dreams may also represent various parts of yourself. That dream metal cog stuck in the mud might represent a part of yourself that's stuck, that keeps going round in the same old circles, feeling like a cog in a machine. That dream rescue helicopter breaking apart in the air and falling to the ground might be the part of yourself that keeps trying to rescue others, not attending to your own maintenance, in danger of falling apart. You get the picture. One of the many ways to get to know a part of yourself is to see things from its perspective. So here's how it's done in a dream. Let's take a simple example. You dream you are walking through a field when you see a plough. It appears to be disused or broken. You walk on by, but something about the plough haunts you. On waking up, imagine retelling the dream, but from the perspective of the plough. So the retelling might go something like this. I'm sitting in a field wondering what to do. I could be ploughing the earth, preparing the ground for seeds, plants, and wonderful nourishing harvests. But I can't do it alone. I need a tractor to pull me along, to lead the way, so I can do my job. Here she comes, walking through the field. Perhaps she knows where the tractor is. But no, I can see she thinks I'm useless. She's passing me by. If this were your dream and your retelling, you might learn that there's a part of you capable of doing amazing work that would be very nourishing for you, but you are dismissing this part as useless. So now you understand this part a little more, ask yourself what you can do to work with it, to give it drive and direction, to engage this disused part of yourself for a nourishing outcome. You might identify the situation and the remedy and put it into action. Interpreting the rest of the dream can help throw more light. You can also help shift the situation energetically by applying a dream alchemy practice in which you reimagine the dream, but this time see a tractor coming along to hook up the plough and get to work. Fast forward in your reimagining of the dream and see a plentiful harvest. Dream alchemy helps to reprogram your unconscious mind, or rewire your brain, in this case to get the two parts of yourself working together to a productive outcome. When your parts resolve their differences and work together, magic happens. The whole is more than the sum of its parts, after all. There are many other very effective tools and techniques that you can use to identify your parts and resolve waking life issues. You'll find these, along with the other treasures you need to interpret your dreams, in my How to Interpret Your Dreams Step-by-Step course at the Dream Academy at dream-academy-online.com. So this brings us from the magical, working through from the magical to the practical, to now the very practical final blog, which is about different ways that you can work professionally with dreams. So this is for those of you that are thinking, I really enjoy working with dreams and I'd like to work with dreams professionally with other people, or that you maybe think that you'd like to study and work towards that, or maybe you're just interested when you step out to engage a dream professional, at what level and what exactly, with different names for different services, what exactly you're getting. So this blog I originally wrote in October 2020 for my Dream Academy blog. I've called it What is Dream Therapy, but it's actually about more than that. So the title of the blog is What is Dream Therapy? And it's October 2020, and you can find it at the Dream Academy, dream-academy-online.com. What is dream therapy, and what does a dream therapist do? If you are skilled in understanding and working with dreams, you might consider offering your services as a dream interpreter, a dream analyst, a dream alchemist, or a dream therapist, or a number of other titles. Or you might choose to facilitate a dream group, or to introduce dream exploration as an adjunct to your work with clients in a related field. So let's distinguish between some of these offerings before focusing on dream therapy and being a dream therapist. A dream analyst. In a nutshell, a dream analyst aims to lay every element of a dream on the table and to use these elements to reveal aspects of the dreamer's conscious and unconscious mindset. Dream analysis is the ultimate dream detective work. It's ideal for intensely curious clients who want no stone left unturned. A dream interpreter. A dream interpreter finds the best words to explain the meaning of a dream, saving the dreamer the laborious details of dream analysis. A proficient dream interpreter will first analyze the dream, then move it into dreamer-friendly language. A detailed dream interpretation will point to some symbols or dream dramas or sequences in the dream to illustrate or prove how the dream interpretation is derived from the dream. It's an illustrative process rather than a deeply all-encompassing one. It's ideal for clients who want to understand and appreciate the meaning of a dream without getting bogged down in analytical detail. There's also a place for offering less detailed in dream interpretation, stepping a long way back from the details and giving more of an overview, focusing on just one or two key insights the dreamer can take from the dream. In this case, it's wise to incorporate a couple of notes to show how the interpretation is derived from the dream, but the emphasis is on delivering a key insight the client can take to heart. It's ideal for clients who want to try a dream interpretation for the first time, after which they're ready to explore more detailed options, or for clients who like to check in from time to time with their own understanding of a dream to see if they're on track. A dream alchemist. A dream alchemist creates specific, unique exercises or practices for a client to do to help reprogram limiting unconscious patterns identified through a dream. It's a powerfully transformative and healing process, ideal for clients who are ready to welcome positive change into their life. A dream alchemist must first be a proficient dream analyst, as the process relies on identifying the unconscious limiting patterns before creating their remedies. A dream alchemist will generally offer a service that combines dream analysis or dream interpretation with dream alchemy. Dream alchemy can also be incorporated into dream therapy, and usually is. So this brings us to dream therapy and a dream therapist. What is a dream therapist? A dream therapist provides a form of psychotherapy where each session is guided by the dream the client brings. Together, the dream therapist and the client explore the client's rich inner world through the dream, with a focus on resolving issues the client wishes to address, or developing qualities the client wishes to develop, or simply being guided by the raw material gifted by the dream. Sometimes a whole session can revolve around exploring a single symbol, how it relates to the client's life, and the healing or potential it offers. At other times, a dream might be explored in broader detail, identifying themes and patterns in the dream and in waking life, discovering patterns that either need to be transformed or need to be enhanced and given more life. Other sessions might focus on reconnecting to vital lost parts of the self, glimpsed in the dream, or to healing hurts, or to liberating what needs to be let go to leave space for new growth and opportunities. And most dream therapy sessions include dream alchemy to accelerate healing and transformation. So a dream therapist needs to be proficient at dream analysis, dream interpretation, and dream alchemy, and able to form a quick picture of the meaning of the dream as the client speaks it. This quick picture informs the dream therapist of possible ways to move through the dream therapy session. And dream therapy, whether it's conducted physically, face-to-face in a room, or by Zoom or a similar visual platform, or by phone, is an ongoing process like other forms of psychotherapy. So around 12 sessions on a weekly or 2-weekly basis provide an optimum balance of continuity and time to reflect, absorb and grow. Though many clients continue in dream therapy for years once they experience the rich rewards each individual session brings. So whether you're a client looking for professional help, that may give you some guidelines about what kind of service to look for and who to look for it from. And of course, I also offer all those services. And if you're someone thinking of branching more into offering dream services as a professional, those titles may give you some guidelines about where you might like to specialise and what you might have to do to become proficient in those areas, or which of those areas calls to you. And of course, if you'd like to study any of those with me, you can do various courses, including dream therapy professional courses, at the Dream Academy. And I don't know how many times I've mentioned this website in today's podcast. The address for that is dream-academy-online.com. You know, when I created the Dream Academy learning platform, which was back in 2017, we've now got loads of students from countries all over the world, but we started it in 2017 and we're trying to think of a good name for it. And the developers of the website, the people that put the technology behind it, because it has got quite a lot of technical stuff behind it to deliver secure courses and complex technology. Anyway, one of the developers, James, said, why don't you call it the Dream Academy? And I thought, that's a really good idea. I'll take the Dream Academy. It was also James that suggested the Dream Show for the name of the podcast. So that was a good name. So I went with that. Of course, it was only after we got all the website up there and got ready to go, that we all remembered that the Dream Academy is, of course, the name of a very famous singing group in, what was it, the 1990s? So actually, the downside for us, it means that if you go and Google the Dream Academy, you don't get me, you get all their music and their songs and all the wiki about them. So, and it's also why I couldn't get the domain, thedreamacademy.com. But it was too good a name to pass up. So in case you haven't got it just yet, the address of the Dream Academy is dream-academy-online.com, quicker than Googling it. Or you'll find links from my main website at janeteresa.com, which lead you directly there. So I hope you've enjoyed this listen. We keep these episodes slightly shorter than our episodes where we have a guest on the show, which normally range towards an hour, simply because there's an awful lot of information in these. Some of you might like to listen back to these once or twice and take notes. If you'd like to volunteer to be a guest on our guest versions of the Dream Show, and for any of you that have listened, this is your first podcast you're listening to and you don't know what that is, most of our episodes we feature a guest. And what happens is the guest is a person who comes onto the show with a first name only and a geographical location, so is otherwise completely anonymous and confidential. And they bring a dream for us to interpret live on air. And the formula that we use is that I ask you, if you come on as a guest, not to tell me anything about the dream before we start recording, because you all tell me that you love that experience of sitting there with me in the podcast, hearing me hear the dream for the first time and how we work forward on the dream from there. So if you'd like to be a guest on the Dream Show, here's how to do it. Go to janeteresa.com, go to the menu, go to Podcast The Dream Show. There's a drop-down box from there, and one of those is Be a Guest on the Dream Show. It's a volunteer thing you do. Of course, you don't pay for it. So it's a great opportunity to bring a dream and to share that as a learning experience for everybody listening in as well, and you do that confidentially. There was something else I was going to say about that. It's completely escaped my mind. I wonder what it is, but obviously it wasn't important, so I'll just finish here. Thank you for listening to yet another episode of The Dream Show. Our next episode, shuffle bits of paper to find where I wrote it down. Our next episode is episode 259, which, if you're listening to this in real time, is due out on the 11th of August 2022. Have a wonderful month. I'm Jane Teresa Anderson.